Hey, true believers, spooky season is upon us, and I thought we'd kick it all off by going over the NECA Universal Monsters Ultimate Dracula Bela Lugosi action figure. I saw this at my local Target, and I just grabbed it. I was like, yes, this must be in my collection. If you guys want to get this, as I always say, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if they have it in stock. If not, at the time of this recording, it is also available at Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store. There are colored versions of the figure, and they're also black and white. The one that I found was the black and white version, which I'm okay with because the movie was in black and white from 1931, so I'm happy to have it, especially doing photography and trying to redo a lot of the old shots that they did back in the day. It has been a blast, and you guys will see that at the photo slideshow at the end. So we see a nightmare of horror, Dracula, Bela Lugosi, David Manners, Helen Chandler, Dwight Fryer, Ultimate Dracula, and I love that they used one of the original movie posters for that, and kind of the same artwork here on the top with the Dracula logo. On the side, you get some really cool photography of the figure, Universal Monsters, NECA, and Real Toys. Come back around this side. Another cool product shot of the figure with the same text around on the back. Some really cool shots of the figure based on the original movie. There's nothing on the bottom really, except for I love how this says Lugosi. That's really cool. And the photography was Stephen Mazurek. I've never seen that before. And the packaging was Chris Ramino. So really cool that they actually have all the names of the developers there on the bottom. Because, you know, sometimes you get your figures and you're like, who did the work? So I really appreciate that NECA does that. And then as we open inside, we get another cool photography pose of Bela Lugosi. Looks absolutely phenomenal. So with that said, let's get this open and look at the count. And here's Count Dracula out of the packaging. And as you can see, even though it's a black and white paint, absolutely phenomenal. Very well sculpted. Love that this is a cloth cape with the dual color back and forth. Just very reminiscent of that memorable film from the 30s. This captures every essence that you would want in an action figure. So with that said, now that we've kind of gushed over this horrifying yet beautiful piece, let's get them down and get a closer look. The film was directed and co-produced by Todd Browning, and the screenplay was written by Garrett Ford, starring Bela Lugosi. Produced and distributed by Universal Pictures, Dracula is the first sound film adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel. The 1922 Nosferatu by German expressionist filmmaker F.W. Murnau, I think is how you pronounce it. It was based on Bram Stoker's novel, but it was filmed without permission. Stoker's wife sued for plagiarism and copyright infringement, and the courts decided in her favor. Now, the producer, Carl, now I'm not real good with these names, Carl Laemmle Jr., did not have any interest in Bela Lugosi. He wanted, film established actors such as Conrad Veidt, who actually returned to Germany fearing his English wasn't good enough for talkies. Laemmle then looked to Lon Chaney, who then tragically shortly passed away, and Lugosi lobbied hard for the part because he and the guy that played Van Helsing, who was, what was his name? Edward von Sloan, they both had played opposite each other on the stage play. So when Lugosi lobbied hard, he won the executives over. Now, the kicker to this, though, is he accepted an appalling $500 per week salary for 7 weeks of work, which amounted to about $3,500. And due to the cost of adding an original musical score to the film, no music or score was added to compose for the film. The music heard during the opening, that's an excerpt from the second act of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. Now, Dwight Fryer, he's the one who stole the film, in my opinion. His rendition of Renfield gave off so many creepy vibes and kept the film moving. And as I was talking about, I enjoyed Edward von Sloan as Van Helsing, even though he apparently did not think much of the film. However, for me personally, Anthony Hopkins will always be the best Van Helsing. And then, of course, Lugosi kills it as Dracula. So there's a little bit of trivia for the film. As for the figure, they really captured his lightness, the look about him. You know, because he was a very cavalier, very debonair looking gentleman. And he just knew how to win you over with a smile. The way he had that German or Hungarian accent just worked excellent with the film. And this headpiece here, as you can see, this is more when he's like, mirrors, I hate mirrors. But that was just great. And then the other ones, speaking of accessories, let's put Mr. Lugosi aside for a moment. Let's talk about the biggest piece in this set, which is the flying bat. And I will say, for 1931, they really did a good job for being able to hide the strings to make this look like a flying bat. And then even though they know when they would show night coming in and you'd hear a howl, like the wolf's howl, they'd pan off screen, come back, and each time Bela Lugosi would rise up from the crypt. It was just some really cool old school in-camera tricks like that that made the film memorable to me. But the bat, very great work. Love the attention to detail. You can even see the little feet and the furs on its back. But what's cool about this piece is in the set you get a long plastic rod like so, and then you also get this base. So you take this doohickey-mabobber. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for you guys. Then you take the bat, which has over yonder hole, and be careful, you don't want to break this. Warm the bat up if you need to get them to fit on that peg. But look at that. Boom. Very cool. So you can at least display your bat with Lugosi. That's a cool little addition. And then folded in the back in a plastic baggie is the memorable cape. Love that it's cloth. Would have preferred that it be bendy wire, but I'll take what I can get. Fabric's very nice. I love that when you flip around, there's the actual gray, like in the movie. And then the neck piece here. I wish that they would have done something, like you can kind of see that little peg in the back. I wish they would have done something to make this attach better, because as it stands, you just kind of plug it on there. And it kind of stays, and you know, you can do some, trying to get that cape up there, relatively decent poses with it. But if you start to get too wild, like if you start displaying the hand, as you can see, it pops right off. So I wish that they would have made this a little more secure. So you're gonna have to be very careful when displaying the cape. But as it stands, it's a nice piece. I'm glad that it's added, especially when he wants to say, "Come her," as he said in the film. He's saying "come here," but the way he just kind of looked down, he goes, when he was talking to Van Helsing, he goes, "Come her." It just reminded me of the Cleveland show, just something Cleveland Brown would say. But got that. Move Mr. Lugosi back again. We get more of a resting vampire face, or I guess you could call this more like the hypnotic stare face, which works. Skin tone's very nice. Love the work of the eyebrows, and you kind of get that nice details in the eyes. And I love that you change them by the neck instead of trying to fight the head in and of itself. It's so much easier to do this, and I hope that becomes an industry standard down the road. And you kind of get the more debonair face, where he's like, "How is Lady Mina? If you wouldn't mind if I call on you later." Just a very nice, kind of like, "Welcome to the web," said the spider to the fly, or the fly to the spider, whatever it was. But you get my drift. He just has that very alluring look, like you could trust him. But as we see from the other head, we can't. He gets a really nice looking top hat. Very cool stuff there. Little basic black, but fits on his head very well. can get some great shots there. And then you add, back him up again. Get a walking cane. Has a nice silver, man, my focus just does not want to work with me today. Has a nice silver hilt. Looks like a cane should. So then you just kind of get, it's a little low though. Let me pull out some more and kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So I mean, look at how, like, he literally has to kind of kneel over to use it. They should have made this about yay big so that make it like a walking stick. You just have his hand up like that. But I mean, as it stands, look at this. I'm supposing they probably wanted you to just more or less put it in his hand or something. But yeah, that's really, really low to the ground. So that's a little disappointing, but the fact that we have it, I'm okay with. Now he comes also with a plethora of hands, which one thing I love about NECA in terms of accessories and cloth capes is that it does, to an extent, give Mafex a run for its money. Yes, Mafex is better articulated. But I mean, look at all these different hands. You kind of get more of a, man, that focus sucks. Sorry, guys. It's just my luck that I want to do this for you guys, and it just wants to be a shit. More of a kind of a pointing hand. That one's cool. And then what I liked is as you get more into the creepiness of Dracula, the color tone changes. So you kind of get this more dark gray look with the glove compared to the more regular gentleman white. So you can kind of change the color palette, or the tonal pattern of what you're trying to convey, where you can get more of the regular white, or if you want to become more wicked, love that gray dry brush that they put into the hand to just get that more vampiric, creepy look to it. Very awesome stuff there. So a nice array of hands. The accessories are great, as you can see. A nice selection that you can do multiple things with. And then the top hat, I just wish that the cane was bigger. Now, as for the figure himself, when it comes to paint apps, I wish that they would have given him his necklace. I can't remember what those were called, where it has like the more gothic tone to it, but they wore that a lot in the movie. I wish the bow tie maybe had some gray wash to make it stand out, or some black. But as we saw with each head, the paint app looks great. Hair looks awesome. Ears almost pointed, kind of gives you that otherworldly look. The dark gray on each one. The eyebrows. Now I like that he has his watch over his cummerbund here. The white dress shirt looks great. The kerchief. And then this is leather, or not leather, but soft plastic, so at least that has a nice movement to it. The coat doesn't move so much like it would like on a Marvel Legends or a McFarlane. So that's kind of disappointing, but still great work. There, legs can go out that much. Legs can kick out that far. Does have a knee pivot and, believe it or not, a thigh swivel. That is surprising. The other thing about NECA that they need to stop is the single jointed knees. That's, McFarlane, what do you call it? Mafex, Hasbro, and then look at this, just a single jointed knee. Come on, guys, let's get with the time there. You're getting all this great stuff, and you do that. The foot articulation, limited. It's another thing that they need to work on. But unlike, well, maybe, let's see. Even though the butt flap is soft plastic, you can get about that far. So even Mafex is blowing Marvel Legends out of the water in the butt flap department. So you get a nice range there. Arms can only go about that far. And about that far. And with Mafex and NECA especially, warm up your figures, because if you try to do this willy-nilly out the box, you're going to bust the shit out of these. I've seen too many horror stories on social media. So warm these up, move those joints around, get them moving, because they are prone to snap. And the same thing here. We finally started getting double jointed. elbows. I never thought that I would see that on a NECA figure, at least the older ones, so that's a nice welcome. He doesn't have a bicep swivel, but he does swivel at the elbow, so at least we got that. Hand goes up, hand goes down, hand goes round and round. He has a little bit of an ab crunch, so you can at least get a bow as if he's talking to somebody. The back, not bad for a NECA figure nonetheless. And then because the neck's on the dumbbell, we get a better range of motion for the neck, front and back. Same here, Lulu. And then of course you can kind of get more of the play in the head all around. So articulation and paint apps is not too bad for this figure. I'm kind of glad that NECA at least got the double jointed elbows right. Now I just wish that they would work on the knees, and I think that they'd really start giving Mafex a run for their money. In terms of quality, though, NECA would need to pick up more lines like DC and all that stuff. But anyway, as it stands with the figures they have, I'm starting to give them a run for their money, and I'm happy for that with the price point. This is an excellent figure, and I'm glad that I decided to just go ahead and pull the trigger and pick up Mr. Lugosi. I'm an absolute nut for the original Universal Monsters and Hammer film horror films. You know, Bela Lugosi, Christopher Lee, and all those good ones. Vincent Price, definitely up my alley. So having this figure, especially the black and white version that just captures the essence of that time, this being one of the first talking horror films, definitely something you guys want to pick up. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to pick up comics and action figures and grab this. My only gripe with it that we kind of went over is the neck piece. I wish NECA or Real Toys or whatever would have figured out a way to clamp that down a little bit tighter, because it's kind of frustrating when you want to move it around. So with all that said, if you guys have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Dracula bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have a spooktacular day, and happy hunting, true believers.